and today's video is going to be a reading wrap-up. I am filming this at night time, which is why the lighting isn't that great. And I look like I'm in my pyjamas and my hair's half wet. And that's because all of them are true. It's literally 1 minute till 11. My hair's half wet because it's been scorching hot in the UK because we don't get normal hot weather. We get a shit ton of humidity, which means I can't cope with the heat. I get very ill. So I've been inside, not being productive, which I hate, and just doing nothing all day basically. Because again, it's been hot. So I've been not wanting to do anything. First things first, the book I'm currently reading is actually a library book. And it is The Dying Game by Asa Avidic. It's a thriller, 66 pages through, and the only reason why I picked it up is because I wasn't sure if I've read this book before, or I've read a book that has the exactly same premise. When I say exactly same, identical premise, but I cannot remember the other book's title for the life of me because I'm reading this and it's not familiar, but I know I've read a book with the exactly same premise of it. Anyway, also I will not be holding up any of the books because most of them are from the library. I will hold up two because I have them right here, and they are the only library books I have. And for ones that I do own, I'm simply too lazy to get. Again, it's night. I don't want to walk around my room getting my books and then having to put them back. Because, yeah. Anyway. First book I read was a library book, which was Freak's Law by Jane Flatt. The reason why I picked this book out from the library is because I follow... I can't remember her channel name, but she's called Carly, and she spoke about this book. And I mentioned Freak's Law, and it sounded really, really interesting, and it combines two things that I love. Circuses / fairgrounds and horror. And if you know me, I love those things. For example, I literally have a very old video before I turned this channel into a book channel, where it's my 16th birthday vlog, which is when my dad took me to watch a circus. I didn't enjoy this book. I just thought there was a lot of sex, which was not needed. It was extremely graphic, which I'm fine with. Like, my favourite film is, like, horror film is Remember, which is a Japanese horror film, which kind of tells you everything. It's about a body search. If you guys want a video where I actually talk about, like, other stuff that aren't books or, like, horror films or that, I don't mind doing that. Anyway, I rated this book 2.5 stars. Not no favourite. Didn't make me cry. The edition I read was a paperback. I'm not even sure if there's a hardback out. I just know there's paperback. There was 348 pages in the edition. The next book I read is actually over there on my makeshift bedside table, and it was the first ever arc I was given. And I'm gonna be honest, when I got the email, I was a bit weirded out because it was kind of sketchy, and also because it was my first arc, I was very wary because my Instagram and my YouTube and my TikTok is still up, but my phone can't handle TikTok, so now I'm predominantly Bookstagram and Booktube. But I got an email and I looked at it and it was like, hey, we have this book, and send you a free copy. And it was unpaid, and it was just like, give us a review or make a post if you want to. So there was no pressure, which I found really lovely. And I actually didn't read the book till it came out. Because it was my first arc, I was very excited to read it. I got an email and I thought it was really sketchy. So I actually agreed, gave them my address. Very bad idea, I know. Yeah, it's my first arc. I gave them my address, or my old address, because that's where I lived at the time. And yeah, I got sent it. It was called Darkling Song by Delphine Seddon. It's described as Euphoria meets Daisy Jones and the Six. So I have watched / read, well, I've watched neither one of those. I'm never going to watch Euphoria because it's not my kind of show. I don't really like, as much as I love graphic horror films, I don't necessarily like shows that are graphic, and for Euphoria is, if you've watched it, you know. And I've never read Daisy Jones and the Six, and I probably won't ever, because I've read Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by the same author, and I didn't particularly like it. Anyway, because this book was my first arc, I was very nervous and like I had a somewhat high expectation, and it blew my expectations out of the park, out of the water, whatever the saying is. And like the arc was, it was so pretty. The book is like, I love the cover. It came with a bookmark and it came with a really nice letter that honestly when I first read it I cried. Speaking of cry, the book made me cry. I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. However, it's not a new favourite, but I did particularly enjoy it. And I will be keeping an eye out on a few of it. I believe I do follow her on Instagram, if she releases any more books. So the book I have is a paperback, and it's considered a contemporary fiction. The book has 373 pages. So the next book was actually my first DNF, which made me really sad because I was very close to the end, and yeah, I'll just get into it, which is Retro Video Games, and forward by Ian Lee. Like I said, I DNF'd it. It was a hardback, it was a non-fiction, it was 189 pages. The only reason why I picked this book up, it was also a library book, was purely because I saw the fact it mentioned Resident Evil. And even though I haven't played it in like a month or so, I loved Resident Evil recently. Like, I've always somewhat been into it, but I was watching Jacksepticeye's playthrough of the newest one, which is Resident Evil 9, which follows Leon and Grace. I was watching his playthrough and it kind of just, I don't know what it was, but it ignited a obsession with Leon Kennedy. Yeah, I picked up this book purely because it mentioned Resident Evil and it had a whole section. I didn't get to the Resident Evil section. However, it did talk about like the top 100 retro games. Resident Evil was mentioned, which I loved. It was only mentioned more than once, which I found really odd. I didn't get to the Resident Evil section. The next book I read was also a library book, which was Endometriosis, which I do have troubles mispronouncing, by Jen Moore. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. Didn't make me cry, not a new favourite. The edition I read was paperback. It's obviously a non-fiction because it talks about endometriosis. It was 266 pages. I found this book very informative because I've been having period issues, without delving too much into my whole health thing, whatever. I've been having issues with my period and they just make me extremely ill. It's definitely not normal. So I was thinking, oh, I think I have endometriosis, which I found out isn't actually just a period thing. And also men can have it. It's extremely rare, but men can have it. And there's also different types. I can't remember what type I believe I have. I have a photo on my phone somewhere. So I wanted to do more research on it, and I found this book in the library. I was literally with my dad and I saw it in front of my eye and I just immediately picked it up and took it out. The next book I read was Markiplier from North Korea, which, other than Doknan's Song, I think is the only book I've read this month that I actually own. Anyway, I read Markiplier from North Korea by Sinuk Frank. I actually pre-ordered this book because I'm subscribed to Markiplier and he spoke about it. And as you can tell by my background, I've moved. And when I ordered this, I was living where I used to live. So I had to quickly email them after I moved. And I was like, hey, I've moved. And I very, very briefly explained why. I was like, no. And whoever read my email was very, very nice. And they got the email switched and then it came here. And I kid you not, the second I got that email, every single day afterwards, I would literally look out the front door or look out the window and just be like, and every time I heard it go and it was post person, I was like, no. And then when it arrived, I was so excited. I also like binged it in like one sitting. It was incredibly short. I cried, I laughed, and it actually made me kind of not fall in love with, because I'm not obviously in love with Markiplier, but it just made me fall in love with his sort of character. Yeah, I rated it 5 out of 5 stars. It did make me cry. It's not a new favourite. Obviously, because it's pre-order, it's a hardback. Obviously, it's a biography, so it talks about Markiplier, talks about his mum and his grandparents, who was originally from North Korea and like escaped from North Korea into South Korea, because if you guys didn't know, North Korea is a not nice country. I'm trying to explain it in the least offensive way possible. I do not know a lot about North Korea. I just know it's a very isolated country from the rest of the world. Next one I read is actually one of the many comic books that I've been reading this month, and that is The Joker Year 1 by Chip. I'm gonna completely butcher the last name, and I do apologise. Chelsky. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. Didn't make me cry. It's not my favourite. Obviously, like I said, it's a comic. I find the genre of comics very difficult, so I just put superhero thriller. This one was 176. I forgot to put the pages for the next one. Next one I read, which was this one, which was Gotham Knights Transference. Yes, this is the one. By Derek K. Grayson, which did make me chuckle, because obviously Dick Grayson is a character in DC, and that's who wrote this one. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. Didn't make me cry, not a new favourite. It's a comic book, superhero thriller. And then I read this book, which is called Nightwing for Grayson Legacy. And it made me cry. It made me mourn. Hi. Hi, Daddy. I'm just getting up my rating. And the reason why it made me cry is I have a emotional attachment to Nightwing. Like, if you guys could see, hold on. You can't see her well. But I am leaning you guys against a pop Funko of the Titans version of Nightwing, because I tried to order a Nightwing Funko Pop, but the only one was the Titans one, which I haven't seen yet. Anyway, this book, let me see how much I rated it. 4.5 stars. And when I say it made me cry, it made me bawl my eyes out to the point I messaged my dad asking for a hug, because I was that sad. And spoiler alert, I'm going to show you why it made me sad. Because like I said, I have an emotional attachment to Nightwing. And I kid you not, I open it, I'm like, cool. I open it to this. And I'm like, what? And I was just telling myself, because I go into comics blind. I do not read the covers. I'm just like, oh, I like Nightwing. I'm going to pick it up. Because I do want to read more comics. And I do own some. I've just been putting them off. And instead I've been reading comics from the library. And now I want my own copy of this one. But yeah, it showed me that page. And then I went, obviously started reading it. Let me try and find it. And then you see him get shot. And then it also has the amnesia trope, which I'm not sure if I like. However, I might like it in a romance. I've never read a romance with it in. I'm not even sure if I own a romance with the amnesia trope in. We shall find out. I've also taken out 2 DVDs. One is Rosemary's Baby. The other one is, let me get, this is the other one, which is The Haunting. Because, again, it's a horror film. And I honestly need to stop taking out DVDs from library because I have enough. And I'm also doing a challenge where I watch all the films that came out in 2003. Anyway, I need to shut up because I want to go to bed. I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of hot. I also need to start editing this video, which I'm not going to be excited for because there's so many clips. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to comment down below what videos you want me to do. Questions, and then I'll happily do a cooler video. Recommend me some books. How many books have you read this month? What one was your favourite? Of all the books I've read this month, I would say I actually have 2 favourites. One is for Markiplier from Korea, biography, and the other one is this one. Because even though I rated this one 4.5 stars, it made me pull my eyes out. And yeah, also I never wanted to hate a man so much. Then the Cut of Owls man in this one. Anyway, I'm gonna say bye because I have a habit of not stopping talking.